Subject English. So today we will be dealing with a brand new lesson, the new blue dress. So how many of you love to go to shopping and buy a new dress? Isn't it exciting when you wear a new dress, new shiny clothes and show it off to your friends and they'll say, wow, how beautiful you are looking, how handsome you are looking. So the happiness of wearing a new dress is always admired the children. Everyone wants to have a new clothes on some festival or on your birthday. Have you asked your mother or father to have a jeans or a t-shirt for your birthday? Haven't you asked your elder brother who is earning money to purchase a new shoe for you? So everybody loves to wear new clothes and everyone wants to show it off to their relatives and to their friends so that they can praise them, and we feel happy when we get praise. So here we have a lesson, the new blue dress. Let us see what magic that new blue dress does. So without wasting time, let us start with the lesson. When spring came to the city of Cleveland in 1909, it did not change Gates Avenue. People who lived on the pretty streets near Gates Avenue were making gardens and painting their houses, but Gates Avenue continued to look dirty and ugly. So here, this is the story of 1909 and the place is Cleveland. So what season it is spring season, and what's happening here, the spring season came and it changed everything. Every plant, every flower, every tree became green, all the birds started chirping and everything was so beautiful around Gates Avenue. But it did not change anything in Gates Avenue. The people who lived near Gates Avenue, they were making gardens, they were painting their houses. It was all celebration time for them since it was a springtime. The wind had the smell, beautiful smell of the flowers. They had the mesmerizing time. But Gates Avenue people did not had that opportunity to hug the spring season. So what was happening? Gates Avenue continued to look dirty and ugly. Everything was looking beautiful around Gates Avenue, but except Gates Avenue. What happens next? Let us see. Gates Avenue was a short street, but it seemed longer because it was so ugly. Whenever we see something ugly, it looks very big due to dirt. So the same thing was with Gates Avenue. Since everything around the Gates Avenue was very beautiful, but Gates Avenue was very ugly and dirty. That is why, even though it was a short street, it was a small street, but it was looking very lengthy due to the dirt, due to the ugliness. Most of the families who lived there had very little money. So there, you might have visited any street, any area where some poor people live, so they don't have much money to afford the luxurious life, and they just live in the dirt and ugliness with whatever they have. So the same thing was the Gates Avenue with the Gates Avenue, and the people who used to live there, they were poor. They didn't have much money for their lifestyle. So this might be the reason why the Gates Avenue was looking dirty even when the spring came. Let us move ahead in the lesson, and let us see that they never expected to have any more. Their houses had not been painted for many years, and they did not even have running water. The street itself was ugly too. So what type of life they were living? They did not have money. They did not paint their house because it needs money to get your house painted. It's not that anyone will come and he will do it for free. So It requires money, it will requires cost to purchase the paint and to hire a person to do the job, to do the paint job. So they, since we already know that they were poor, they had very little money to survive, so that is why they were in very critical situation, and their houses have not been painted for several years, and there was no street light, there was no running water. We face these kind of problems in cities, especially in some societies where the people live in the overcrowded manner, and they don't have much money. So even the government also ignores such kinds of places, and they did not have running water as well because they could not pay for it. So there was no pavement, there was no street light, and what else is, and the railroad at the end of the Gates Avenue added noise and dirt. What further was the condition? There was no pavement. Pavement means footpath. So there was no path to move properly. There was all dirt. There was no street light. So even in the evening time it looks so dark. And as soon as it becomes night, it becomes very horrible to move from the Gates Avenue. And what happened? And the railroad which was there near the Gates Avenue, it poured all the dirt into the street, and that made the street a worst place to live. So that was the situation, that was the condition of the Gates Avenue here in this story. So from the up to the paragraph over here, what did you came to know? Although it was a spring season and everything looked beautiful, but the Gates Avenue, the situation of Gates Avenue remained the same because they didn't have money to improve their condition. The people living in Gates Avenue did not have facilities, basic living facilities over there. They did not paint their houses, they didn't have pavements, that is footpath, they didn't have street lights. So this was the situation in the Gates Avenue. The other girls in the school near Gates Avenue wore new and pretty clothes that spring, but the little girl from Gates Avenue still wore the dirty dress, and that she had worn all winter. Probably that was the only dress she owned. Now everybody was from that area, from the society, was wearing the new dress, but the girl who was from the Gates Avenue, she wore that old frock that she was wearing in the winter season, and she had only that old rugged cloth that she was wearing from that, because she was very poor. She didn't have many clothes to wear. That is why she was wearing that old dress, old dirty dress. Probably that was the only dress she owned. So you don't know it or not, but we have a lot of clothes to wear, but the people who are very poor, they have only one or two pair of clothes to manage with. Even in the winter season also, they wear just one cloth, and they spend the whole winter season just shivering in one corner. That kind of condition is there that the poor people suffer from. So we are having quite comfortable life, my children, but there are so many people who are suffering even in present situation, and that was the condition of that poor girl, that she was having only one cloth that she wore in the winter season, and still she is wearing the same. So now you might have understood that why she was wearing only the single cloth, because she had only one, and she was from Gates Avenue, so it was very obvious that she belonged to a poor family. Now let us go and see the next thing. The other girls in the school near Gates Avenue wore new and pretty clothes that spring, but little girl from Gates Avenue still wore the dirty dress that she had worn all winter. Probably that was the only dress she owned. Just now we have seen this paragraph, and next what happens? Her teacher was very unhappy. The little girl was so nice. She always worked hard in school. She was always friendly and polite. her face was dirty and her hair was untidy. But anyone could see that she was pretty under the dirt. Remember that most of the people judge the outer beauty of the person, like how I am looking. If I am dressed well, they think that I am a good person. But that's actually not the thing, my children. We should see the behavior of the person. We should see the character of a person, how he or she behaves, how he or she acts according to the situation, how is your relationship with him, how she responds to you. That is the real character and that is the real beauty of a person. So that girl was very laborious. She used to work hard in the class. She was a very intelligent girl and she had very good relationships. Her behavior was very soft. With all his friends and with all the teachers in the school, she behaved very well. But her face was dirty. She was wearing a dirty dress and her hairs were open. They were untied because there was no one to do those things for her. So apparently she was looking dirty, but no one could see that how beautiful she was from inside, from her character, from her behavior, how beautiful she was. No one was able to realize. Now let us see what happens. One day the teacher said, "Won't you wash your face before you come to school? Tomorrow morning, please do that just for me." So the teacher finally asks her and tells her to wash her mouth. At least for your teacher's sake. Can't you wash your face? See, look how dirty you look. There's no one to help you out. Don't you have your mother who can wash your face and who can send you to the school tidy? She was wondering that everyone is wearing a new dress, everyone is welcoming the spring season with some bright colors, but why this little girl is still looking dirty? Although she wore an old cloth, that doesn't matter, but at least she can clean herself. That was the question, and she tells to her that tomorrow you should come to school in neat and clean dress and with washed face. So she says like that. Now the next morning the child's pretty face was clean and her hair tidy. Before the little girl went home that afternoon, the teacher said, "Now dear, please ask your mother to wash your dress." The next day when the girl came to the school, she followed the order given by her teacher and she washed her face and she came with the neat and tied hairs. Now what does her teacher says? Okay, now she looks beautiful, she looks good, but the only one thing that is not still good is the old dress she was wearing. So she tells that girl again that you should wear a new dress tomorrow, my dear. Tell your mother that my teacher has told me to wear a new dress. So that was the situation, and she says that, but the girl continued to wear the same dirty dress. Can you expect her to wear a new dress? If she would have money to buy it, if her parents can buy a new dress to her, why she will wear an old dress? Everybody wants to look beautiful, everyone wants to look great, but that girl did not have the new dress. That is why she came into the same old dress to the school. Her mother is probably not interested in her, the teacher thought. So this is the general thing that most of the teachers think, that the parents might not love their child to the extent, that is why they are not at all taking care of her, and she is sending the girl to the school in like that itself, without making her neat and clean. So this was the thought which was coming to the teacher's mind. Now what was the thought of the teacher? That her mother might not be interested in the girl, she might not like her, that is why she is not getting her a new dress. So she bought a bright blue dress and gave it to the little girl. Now the generous teacher whose heart was very kind and she used to love that little girl, she purchased a beautiful blue dress for the girl, and she gifted that frock to the girl, frock or maybe the dress. Now what happens? The child took the gift eagerly and rushed home. Now the girl takes that gift immediately and ran away to the home. She ran with the excitement that let's wear this dress and let us show it to ma'am that how do I look. If the happiness of getting a new dress for a poor child cannot be imagined, it's the people like us may or may not be that excited when we receive or when we purchase a new cloth, but if you gift a new dress to a poor child, my children, you will see that how happy they will feel, what feelings they will get on their face, how excited they will feel has been shown on the face of that girl when she receives, and immediately with a lot of excitement she runs to her home to try that new dress, to look what is inside that gift. The next morning she came to school in the new blue dress. Now the next day she comes wearing the same dress that has been gifted by the teacher to her. The teacher was very kind-hearted. She looked at her day by day, she observed her, and she has decided that okay, her mother might not be interested in her, but I should gift her the new dress so that she can mingle with all her students and she can also enjoy the arrival of the spring season. That was the thought of the teacher. So the next morning she came to the school in the new blue dress and she was very clean and tidy. So she was very clean and tidy. Whenever we put new clothes on a person, how ugly he must be, but that new dress and that neatness adds a new glow to them. They look bright, they look beautiful, they look stunning. So the same was with the little girl, and she was looking like an angel on that day when she wore a new dress. She was very tidy, her hairs were tied, her face was washed, and that new blue dress was shining like her character, her behavior. So this was the thing. She told her teacher, "My mother couldn't believe her eyes when she saw me this morning in my new dress. My father wasn't at home, but he will see me at supper tonight." She was full of excitement. You can look at the happiness of that little girl. She says to her teacher that, teacher, do you know that my mother could not recognize me?" And she was very shocked that is she my daughter or someone else's daughter, because she has not seen her in such a beautiful dress from so long. She used to wear that single dress that she had with her. So it was a surprising morning for my mother, and she was just astonished and she was very happy by seeing me in this new blue dress. How beautiful I was looking to her. And my father, my father goes for work, so that is why he did not see me, but he will return by the supper. Supper means the dinner. The night time food is called the supper. So he is supposed to see me in the evening, and she is expecting that Even his father will not be able to recognize her. He will also be surprised, and he will also be equally happy that how beautiful his daughter is looking. That excitement that girl was having with her, and with that excitement she told all those things to her teacher. Now, when her father saw her in the new blue dress, he was amazed to find that he had a very pretty little girl. So now the father returns and he sees her girl, and he was shocked. When he sees her girl in that beautiful dress, then she realizes the real beauty of her girl, and he is just surprised to see that how beautiful her little girl is. That kind of environment was created at that time. And when the family ate supper, he was even more amazed to see a cloth on the kitchen table. Now, he was even more amazed to see a cloth on the kitchen table. So, when they finished their dinner, and when they removed the utensils from the dining table, he saw that it's a new dining cloth on the table. So he was even happy that who has brought this new cloth. It looks very beautiful and tidy. It's very neat, it's very clean. So the neatness creates good vibes into the mind. And the same thing happened with his father. When he saw her beautiful girl in the new dress, he has been surprised and he felt very nice. And at the same time, when they finished their dinner, he saw that there is a new cloth, there is new tablecloth on the table. So that added to his happiness. And what happens? The family had never used a tablecloth before. Earlier they used to have their food on the table barely. They did not lay any cloth on the table. It was just barely open. So, yeah, the family had never used a tablecloth before. We are going to begin to be tidier here. So they were saying like, now we will be always living tidier. Tidier means cleaner. Earlier they used to live in the dirty manner. But when they saw that her girl looks very beautiful when she wears a tidy, neat dress, then her mother realizes that we should always live in a neat and clean way. When anything is neat, it looks beautiful, it looks catchy. Everyone feels to be attracted towards that. So that is why they decided to live neat and clean. Now, his wife said, I am ashamed to be dirty when our daughter is so clean. Now, by seeing her daughter, her mother says that, disappointedly, that see how our little girl looks, how tidy she is, how clean does she look. But shame on us, how dirty do we look? Even we can clean the stuff that we are using in our daily, but still we don't clean it. We feel lazy in order to do that. But now see the difference. She looks very attractive. But see, to ourselves, we don't have that charm in us. So that is the thing that changed our mother, and now she has decided that now onwards they all will be living in a neat and clean manner. After supper, the mother began to wash the kitchen floor. Her husband watched silently for several moments. Then he went outside and began to repair the fence. The next evening, with family's help, he began to make a garden. Now, can you realize that why there was no spring season in Gates Avenue? Because the people over there was lazy people. They did not wanted to work. They just wanted to lay in the mess they made. They just wanted to have live their life, eat and sleep. That's it. But the mindset of the girl's parents suddenly changed when they saw her little girl in a neat and tidy dress, and they felt ashamed. So immediately what her mother starts doing, immediately when they finished their supper, she started cleaning the kitchen floor. Even her husband was silently watching her, that there is a great change came into her, and seeing her, he also gets motivated and repairs the fence. The next day they started doing the gardening. They planted new trees, new flowers in there, and slowly their house started looking beautiful. It looked that the spring came to their house. It was just because that they realized that they should always live in a neat and clean manner, and the season is not just for a single family. It's just that we should realize that the season has came and we should welcome it accordingly with our preparations. So the parents of the girl realized that they did not do the preparations correctly, and now they started doing gardening, cleaning the home, putting a new cloth on the table, and etc. etc. And slowly their house has also blushed with the beauty of spring season. Now what happened is, during the following week, the man in the next house watched what his neighbor was doing, and by the end of the week the man began to paint his house. So this thing happens when you start doing something new, doing something good. The other people see you and they try to copy you. They get inspired by seeing you doing that. So the same thing happens in the story. And what does the neighbor of the girl do? He saw that if their neighbor are doing the cleaning work at their place, they are doing gardening, and he was also inspired and he started painting his house the next day. So this was the impact that brought the slow change in the Gates Avenue. Slowly the things were changing, and it appeared that the spring is coming to the Gates Avenue. Now what else happened is, for the first time in 10 years, so can you imagine that a house that has not been painted for 10 years, how dirty it will look. But suddenly the girl brought change to the mindset of the people in the society. Firstly, she changed the minds of her own parents, and slowly the same thought was spreading throughout the society, and now even her neighbor was painting his house, first time in the 10 years. Then what happens? A few days later, the young minister of a church near Gates Avenue passed these two houses and saw two men working. For the first time, he noticed that there was no pavement on the Gates Avenue and no street light. Now, when the minister was passing and he saw that the people in the two houses are working, actually at that time only he noticed that there was no footpath in the street, there is no street light. So what happens next in the story, we will be seeing in the next class. Till then, I hope that you have enjoyed the story and you read the rest part of the story, and we will be catching you in the next class. Till then, goodbye.